I'm mad about it because I don't think that we should ever let fascism walk through the door when it's knocking on it. All of a sudden, with the military budget, the thing that fails audit after audit after audit, what does this person do in your worldview?
I mean,
Does he work the rest of his life?
potentially.
We're back with more clips from the podcast. Remember, we drop these weekly on Wednesdays at 12 p.m. It's on Spotify and Apple for audio versions, and then the link in our description will take you to our website for the video version. But I've got some banger clips here that we're going to look over, so be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and strap in. We'll be back with some needed context.
What if you have bad credit and you can't get a loan?
I mean,
Does that
you still
person
get
work?
medical debt.
Does that person that way you have bad credit, you can't get a loan, you have to pull the money out, you have to spend it. Now you're 65, you don't have any money, you couldn't get any loans. What does this person do in your worldview?
I mean,
Does he work the rest of his life?
potentially, but that's the risk you.
That's
That's
insane.
your.
Yeah,
that's his own choice. He chose that.
Exactly, right. And you shouldn't
Why
have
can't he choose that?
Why can't he choose that?
He can do what he wants.
Because society shouldn't be set up in a way where that can happen.
This was a debate over Social Security where the argument you hear from his side is get rid of Social Security and instead encourage investment in Wall Street, which my lefty aside from why incentivizing Wall Street investment is bad, this is also just not a very feasible or practical solution for many people, and you can see how it would play out in these negative outcomes through the simple example I gave him, where in his worldview, if you have to pull from your investments, your retirement funds, then you just can't retire, and this is the reality and would be for many people. I watched it happen to my father when he got diagnosed with cancer, but it could be medical debt or it could be an injury that prevents you from working, a death in the family that brings expensive funeral costs, estate settlements, divorces or legal battles, a natural disaster like we saw in California forcing you to start over. You could be defrauded or scammed in your investments. Economic collapse could happen to the markets. You could be thrust into a caregiving role for an ailing family member that is more expensive than you had sought out with when you were investing, where which should we not have Social Security or we shouldn't have society set up in a way where you can spend your entire life paying into society, benefiting it through taxes and economic growth. Then some event happens and now you can't retire and have to work the rest of your life. And Social Security is what prevents that from being a reality.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing. I think it's perfectly fine in theory. I think it's one weird that he would weigh it make it contingent on Russia and China doing it. If your big thing is cut government waste and you're fine cutting all of these other programs, you're fine cutting the CFPB and USAID, and you're not making China and Russia cut their comparative programs of those. But then all of a sudden with the military budget, the thing that fails audit after audit after audit, year after year, is clearly the most wasteful bit of government spending we have. That is contingent on other people doing it. And I get it. It's because I think it's an easy sell to your base where you can say, hey, now you can tell people I am going after the military spending, but of course I can't do it unless Russia and China does. What? These silly lefties want me to decrease the military budget, but let our biggest adversaries in Russia and China keep theirs. Like, I think it's all for show personally, because there is no real leverage to make this deal happen. There's nothing to make China or Russia do this. We have much larger budgets than them.
This is the deal that Trump was putting forth in an announcement. He'll cut 50% of the military budget if Russia and China does. And what I said there speaks for itself. It's just a move of smoke and mirrors. We spend hundreds of billions of dollars on storage of weapons we never use. Hundreds of billions of dollars has just gone missing at the Pentagon. They continue to fail audits. If you want to cut wasteful spending like he claims his goal is, you clearly start there. And the idea that you can only do this if Russia and China does it is silly, because we spend a cartoonishly large amount on our military budget, cartoonishly more than any other nation does, especially Russia and China, just to waste most of it. So clearly you could cut the waste, keep what keeps us strong, but he doesn't want to do that because that lobby owns him. So instead, he'll give his base the talking point of how this is amazing and he's the first to propose it. And he just, while knowing the entire time that there's no leverage to make it happen. China has denied doing things like this already in the past. It's just marketing. He's doing the reality TV thing essentially, but I mean, I'm for anything that would cut the military budget. I just wish that he would actually do it with the veracity that he's targeting the NLRB, the CFPB, USAID, actual useful government functions.
I'm mad about it. I'm mad about it because I don't think that we should ever let fascism walk through the door when it's knocking on it. And if you're going to let a group of people be oppressed by the oppressor, then how long is it before they move to a group that includes you, right? Like you don't care about it now because you're not trans, but then how long is it before it's Black people have to be banned from the military? Catholics have to be banned from the military, whatever it may be. So for me, I just reject the notion of this outright because it's a slippery slope and I don't want it to get to me. And then also I just think that we should put human rights above anything else, right? Like inclusion is a baseline of equality and equality is a human right.
This is what gets me, and so many conservatives are like this. We should be so outwardly against fascism of any kind because of this exact reason of it being a slippery slope, if not for any other reason like the human rights aspect. But it's also so ingrained in what it means to be an American. Like we have a long history of, and I don't mean to whitewash American history, so don't get me wrong. We've done plenty of imperialism and fascism, arson shit ourselves, right? But in terms of what I'm trying to say I'm proud about in terms of patriotism and what it means to be an American is we have a history of, like cracking Nazi skulls and defeating fascism, right? But as it comes back in new ways, we're so hesitant to just outright reject it now, just because what, trans people are the new social phenomenon? How long ago was it gay people or women? How long ago was it Jewish people when we were fighting the Nazis? Like, why repeat the same patterns and allow it again when we already saw and understand now how wrong it was when those happened? And how long is it going to be if we keep allowing this pattern to happen before it's a group that you're included in that is next up, or someone that you love is included in that group? I think if nothing but for these selfish reasons, we should outright reject trans discrimination as the fascism it is, and things like trans military bans obviously as an extension of that. But that's if not for the equality and human rights aspect, which you'll have to watch the podcast to see, but he had trouble also admitting that equality is a human right.